Hello everybody, wherever you are. I'm Francesco Verso from Italy. I'm the editor of Future Fiction, and tonight or today or this morning, wherever you are in the world, we are here to talk about some interesting concept related to Spanish science fiction and Latin American science fiction. But before that, I have some things to say. First of all, I have to thank the Chilean Science Fiction Association, ALCIFF, for hosting us and for giving us this wider audience, thanks to their network. So, Spinoza y Fuentes, thank you very much. Muchas gracias. And then I have to thank my guest today for being here. I will, first of all, make a little introduction, and then I will give them the chance to introduce directly themselves to the audience. The reason for this, one of these many talks and these panels that we try to organize is because over the last 10 or 15 years, the concept of science fiction has been changing a lot due to the opening of the networks, due to the idea of world science fiction, due to the, let's say, multiplication of translations from many languages to English and to other languages. So I've come across many wonderful stories that have been translated, and I've tried to collect them, to gather them, in order to save them from a bigger problem, the monoculture and the losing of biodiversity of visions towards the future. So 2 years ago, I published this book, which is called Cuerpos, in Italian language, which is my native language. And thanks to the translation by Raul Chanella, I was able to bring to Italy a selection of Spanish and Latin American authors. Some of them are here, and I really want to thank all the contributors, because it's not easy to translate from non-English to non-English language at the moment. So with this project, I try to create a kind of network, but also a kind of awareness that science fiction happens everywhere. And science fiction has a dignity and very high quality standards everywhere it is written. The problem is to find it, to scout it, and to translate it. So now is the time to introduce the authors. And I don't know actually what kind of order, because the authors are spread all over the world. But I would like to start with Cristina. So please introduce yourself.
Hola a todo el mundo. Hello, everybody. I am Cristina Jurado. I am telling you hi from Dubai, from the United Arab Emirates. So it's tonight for me. So it's very difficult to to speak about myself. I always have a hard time. What can I tell you? I can tell you that I am a bilingual author. I write in English and Spanish, mostly in Spanish, but also in English. I write science fiction, fantasy, horror, and all genres in between. I'm also an occasional translator. I'm an editor of Supersonic magazine, and I also am a contributor for Constelación magazine, which is a bilingual magazine in the United States. I'm also been promoting science fiction in my country, in Spain, voluntarily in the Spanish Association of Fantasy, Science Fiction and Horror, Portico. And last year, I was also awarded with the Best Science Fiction for European Promoter by the European Science Fiction Society. So I don't know what else to say. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you to the Chilean Association and to my fellow colleague and friend Francesco for this opportunity.
Thank you, thank you. Then, of course, Gabriela, your turn, please.
Hello, hola. Hello, everyone. Hola a todos, todos. I'm with legends here, so I'm also having troubles to talk about myself, but I can tell you that I write mainly science fiction, fantasy, or literature of the imagination, as we call it in Mexico. And I'm not very very used to define my work, because that's the work of readers. But let's say that I write mainly in genre key. So I also write essays about cinema and literature and life. So in this field of science fiction and fantasy, I am the co-founder of the Mexican speculative literature, Mexicona, with 3 other writers and friends, Andrea Chapela, Livia Brenda, and Liliana Vargas. I'm also part of the board of FutureCon, which I share with Cristina, Francesco, and a lot of Brazilian, Colombian, Chilean friends. That's a very, very funny and highly political and idealist enterprise, as well as Mexicona. And I'm also the winner of the formerly known as James T. Tree Jr. Award, now known as Otherwise Award, for a short story called Soñarán en el Jardín, They Will Dream in the Garden, which is in this anthology, Cuerpos, thanks to Francesco intercepting me at WorldCon some years ago and asking me for this story, just translated to English in that time. So he was like, this story, please. So thank you, Francesco, for that.
Thank you for writing it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And last but not least, from Cuba, my dear friend Erick Mota. Just one warning, because Erick has a little bit delay, so when he will answer, we have to wait a little bit, but it's worthwhile.
Bien, hola a todos. Hi everybody. I am Erick Mota. I'm a science fiction writer in Cuba. People say it's the same. Live in Cuba and be in a science fiction scenario, but don't worry. We write science fiction. And well, talk about myself is hard and complicated. I am physics, but always I was a science fiction writer, even when I was studying physics. My book more popular, we say, was Havana Underwater. People in English say underwater, but it's underwater, a kind of Spanish name of the city. Cuerpos was a memory of a story I ever made, a zombie story in Cuba, in the Cuban film, and I really appreciate the translator to the story to the English in the anthology is really a lovely story, and story where I write my government, but it's a hope in and I like to that story siga adelante, no sé cómo se dice en inglés, y thank you very much, Francesco, to send me for being part of this anthology. Is an honor.
It's really a pleasure. Okay, so the reason of this title is because, of course, more or less, the thread, the red line that connect all these stories, in a way, is related to bodies. Is related to bodies in many different ways, whether it's pure technology connected to our biology, or it's a biopolitical tool used by the state or the government to achieve their whatever needs, whatever means. So my first question is, of course, related to these bodies. And in each of these stories, the bodies appear in different ways. The bodies of women in Gabriela's story are objects of violence by men, and then they become a simulacrum of love and respect through a virtual installation. In the story by Erick Mota, the bodies of Cuban citizens are turned into zombies by the biopolitical forces of the government, while the body of Naima in Cristina's story is considered like the trash where she lives in and from where she tries to escape. So I wanted to start from these considerations to ask you how science fiction can handle the human body to build social and political narratives. So now I would like to start from Gabriela.
Oh, that's such an interesting question. And I think that, yeah, science fiction is the precise genre or a way of seeing and writing that allows us to speculate and forming like these ideas about the human, about what does being a human implies, and that of course includes the body. And I think that in this in these times when our bodies are divided politically in valuable or not valuable, it's so important to make that that insight from science fiction and from literature and art in general. But science fiction, what allows us is to distort our own ideas in a way that make us wonder, what if this were different? What if this take a long road forward and make us arrive at other conclusions about our being in this planet, our being with technology in this planet. So I think personally, for me, in science fiction, the female body, it's been an interesting exploration because we in science fiction and imaginative literatures, we have many possibilities that in reality we hadn't. So in that sense, I think it has been very liberating for a lot of women writers to explore the possibilities of their own bodies in fiction and translating this freedom and possibilities into real life. I truly believe that science fiction or that kind of imagination is intertwined with women's liberation. I think they are making feedback all the time with the possibilities and the challenges and pushing forward the reality of our bodies. But aside the female aspect or just centering the conversation in women's bodies, I think in general, science fiction now puts us at a place of questioning what kind of body do we as humans have in the world, because in nature, I mean, because we decided at some point to make us a thing apart from nature, but that's not true. We are nature. So what is about technology, which is also nature? What is about our own creations and our ways to cope with the natural world, sublimated through technology, through manipulation of elements? What of this is also part of the nature, and what is making us another kind of beings? We are in that conundrum, for put it that way, just because we are in an emergency. We are in a crisis, a global crisis. So it's urgent to ask us, what are we willing to do with our bodies in relation with technology, and also what are we going to do with our bodies and these other bodies that maybe we don't consider as valuable as human bodies, animal bodies, or even another human group's bodies in relation to that. So, well, that's, I think it's more and more questions, but I'll leave it there.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting, especially the fact that you used a kind of virtual installation to kind of educate, kind of try to give a message to future generations. You know, it's like a monument to all the victims of feminicide. So the body becomes a monument. That's a very powerful, you know, scene, and no wonder that you won the award for this beautiful story. Thank you, Chris. Up to you. Oh, your mic.
Whoa. Yeah, now, sorry. I wanted to go back a little bit what Gabi said, because in my story, as you mentioned, Francesco, I spoke about, there is this story, the journey, I would say, of a imperfect girl, somebody who doesn't have one of her limbs, and there is also her story, the story of how she tries to get out of her terrible situation, runs parallel to the story of Earth. And when we're talking about bodies, we're talking about our human bodies, but in a way, I think that we cannot forget that nature is kind of the body of our planet. So I was thinking that it would be interesting to talk about a little bit also this parallelism about how we are also living in this host creature or organic creature, which is our planet, and the way that the same way as this parasite in my story in Dump lives inside Naima. It's interesting to notice that we have a relationship with nature that is kind of like it's a hate and love relationship, because we're supposed to love it, we're supposed to cherish it, but we do horrible things to it, and also there is this idea of technology as something that is opposite to nature somehow. It's like natural and artificial, it's kind of always considered opposite to one another. And that always fascinated me, because I don't really think that if we want to project ourselves in the future, which is what we do normally with science fiction, maybe we should change a little bit this paradigm and think about ways in which actually technology can bring us together, or in a more organic and sustainable way, into nature. So we will not hurt it so much, and we will kind of like integrate it into it without damaging. So I think that also bodies in general in science fiction have always been like a battleground. As I mentioned before, what Gabi was saying about the female body, it's obvious that many feminist science fiction authors used science fiction to talk about issues that were not easily talked or tackled through realism or through other genres. But right now, I think that also we're pushing kind of like the limits, not talking about the human body, the female body, but also what is as humans, how we want to be, or we project us to be in the future. And maybe we can talk later about the difference between post-human and transhuman, because it's not exactly the same. And I think this is something that has a lot to do with the concept of body and what we think means to be human. And if we can transfer that to other beings, like beings that have been created not organically, like, for example, artificial intelligences, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's a very ample subject to talk in a few minutes, but I wanted just to make sure that we maybe talk about this later, or because I think maybe my colleagues can add into this. But yes. I absolutely agree with Gabi, even though I just don't want it to center it it would be for me easy to just center it on the female body again, but I wanted to open it a little bit more to all kinds of bodies, and also the bodies of underrepresented communities or underrepresented groups, which have been, not listened or heard throughout history, no?
Okay. Thank you very much. I find it very interesting the fact that you have mentioned this dualism of nature versus technology, because we tend to neglect or don't consider a third very powerful force, which is politics. And politics can really change the things. And some people know that I don't really like vampires. But when I read the story by Erick on I don't know, I don't remember where I read it, the original story. But I also wrote a very weird and bizarre story about vampires used in a very political way. And so in the case of Erick, this story is like a real political satire on the state of the art of Cuban politics, and in this way, the state and the government has a big role. And I would like to, ask to Erick this question about biopolitical forces in science fiction. Did you? Erick, did you hear?
I think
Let's
he's
check.
muted.
You have to.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you are muted. Now I see you're frozen. Oh, connection is very slow.
Connection is zombifying.
Oh, now it dropped. Oh, okay. Yeah, I sense that there were some connecting problems. Maybe we can get it back. And I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. The connection with. Oh, yeah. Maybe it's back. Erick.
Are you listening? Okay.
Yes, we hear you.
Go.
Okay. Remember, I, because I am in Cuba, is like I am in the moon. Things like a cosmonaut. Okay. I say, I saw. It's important to clarify that our Latin American perspective, and Caribbean in my case, the treatment of the bodies in the social environment will always be traumatic. Racism, machismo, colonialism base their success on the discriminated person hating himself. Hate your own body. Something similar happened in citizens in totalitarian governments. I think the same happens with the consumer in other kind of societies. The citizens end up hating themselves, and it happens because the citizen perceives that his government hates them. And in the case of story, my zombie story, I wrote it at a time was what a kind of zombie mania in the world. I don't understand. A vampire maybe, but a zombie, a living dead, for God's sake. And then I discovered the zombie is a metaphor of the two. And now in the political speech, I listen a parallels between the citizen and zombies. Even in this moment, even in one context, political context. At this point, I think we can build a social and political narrative without taking out the resistance narrative. A narrative of invented or bodied so that we don't hate them anymore. And that is clear who hates us. This is all.
Erick, maybe,
remember, I am
yes. Maybe one suggestion: you can turn off the video and we can just listen to you. Maybe it would be better. As a suggestion, try to do that. Maybe it will improve the connection. Just try it, okay? We will move on. But thank you. Really, your zombification of Cuba was really, yeah, I think it's much better, and we can at least listen to you without so much. Yeah, good, excellent. Okay, so yeah, technology was born to compensate for our human biological limits, like shoes, like glasses, like the smartphone. But together with the personal augmentation comes the diminishing abilities. For example, we can't remember numbers anymore without our agenda. We can't find streets without Google Maps. We stop writing messages and use vocals. So my question is, do we need new ethical tools to face such new technologies emerging in the last 20 years, where our biology is the same as it was 200,000 years ago? And now I would like to go to Chris first. Up, Mike again.
I wanted to talk about this also coming from what I spoke earlier about the difference between post-human and transhuman, because it's not exactly the same. When we talk about post-human, we're talking about our relationship with technology and how technology it's part of our lives and it helps in our lives. But when we're talking about transhuman, what we are more into the enhancement, as you mentioned, Francesco, of our abilities through this technology. So it's not exactly the same thing, and I think it's important to make this distinction. And the funny thing, when you were asking these questions, I couldn't stop thinking that right now, the way that technology is applying to our lives, which is faster and faster, there is no time to sometimes think through the consequences. And so these ethical tools or ethical thinking that you mentioned, sometimes it doesn't have time to develop, and laws come into place before we even start discussing among ourselves. So you have, for example, laws or maybe not laws, but some kind of like rules and regulations in the way that, for example, chats and social media work, where you cannot use certain words, where, for example, in public, when you're talking to one another, you can probably use whatever you want. But if you do it in a public forum like social media, there are certain words or certain expressions or certain things that certain topics or certain pictures that you cannot post. So this is not exactly related to, it's not exactly technology itself, but it's the appliance of technology, because the content itself is something that it's already there, but it's the way we share it, the way we share and use information and how we communicate. That's what is changing. So I think we don't have time we don't have time sometimes to assimilate the consequences of those things. And I'm gonna give you a very an example. In the country I live, there are certain contents that you cannot share, not even through WhatsApp or to one another, because it's considered not decent, right? And so for religious reasons. So there is rules where if you get this, you get certain picture of somebody, very revealing picture, you have to erase it, and you have to send a message to the person saying, please do not send me this anymore, because you have to prove, in case that somebody denounces you, you have to prove that you are not, you're not part of it, you're not disseminating this thing. And so this is just an example of how technology sometimes it goes in a certain speed, And this is just in terms of communication, not necessarily in something like enhancing your body. But I'm wondering if this is happening in the way we communicate. What is going to happen in the way when technology, it's part of our bodies, like a normal some other thing, like everybody will have maybe a 5G connection already implanted, and we will not have to dial in. It would be Wi-Fi everywhere, things like that. How are we going to deal with it if we don't have even time to think about it? You know what I mean? So before we have laws in place or anything, we have to think, and we have to discuss among ourselves, and we have to have some time to reflect. And I don't think we are doing that. And there is no way we can develop any ethical guidelines if we don't do that. It's what I think.
Yeah, all right, thank you. And now, I don't know if Erick wants to join right now. How's the connection with the moon? With the Cuban moon?
Okay, let's try.
Yes or no? All right. Looks like there's another problem.
Okay, are you listening? Let's try without imagining we will come. Yeah. How miss? Who was the question?
The question?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the question was related to the fact that technology doesn't always give us, but also takes away from us. In the sense. So, did you understand?
Okay. Yes. Okay. I think the technology is here to help people, but human, we always remain what we once were, a herd of primates that ended up descending from the trees and eating the predators. Humans are survivors, and I don't believe that technology limits us or make us the.
Yes, Erick. If you want, you can write. You can talk
where the
in
people
Spanish.
who consume technology are seen as. Okay. ¿Me oyen bien? Are you listening okay?
Go in Spanish.
Vayamos a... Ya, veo tu... ya. A ver, como yo lo veo, la tecnología está para ayudar a las personas. Y al final, nosotros somos una manada de monos que nos bajamos del árbol y nos comimos a nuestros depredadores. Es decir, nosotros somos sobrevivientes. Y como sobrevivientes que somos, no creo que la tecnología en algún momento nos haga involucionar o nos haga de alguna manera. Tal vez en algún tipo de sociedad de consumo en la cual los receptores de esta tecnología sean considerados usuarios, se trate de lograr una especie de dependencia degenerativa de la tecnología con los usuarios. Pero cuando la situación sea un caso de vida o muerte, simplemente esas habilidades que aparentemente habíamos perdido van a regresar por un problema de supervivencia. No creo que deberían pasar, no sé, muchos miles de años relacionándonos de manera tóxica con la tecnología como para que involucionemos o como para que perdamos esas habilidades. Por lo tanto, yo considero que, y el tercer mundo es un ejemplo de eso, las personas le dan un tratamiento y un uso a la tecnología diferente, incluso para el que fue pensado. Y cuando estamos perdidos le preguntamos a alguien. Y yo he estado, o sea, yo he viajado fuera de Cuba, a lugares donde hay cobertura, hay Google Maps, o sea, puedes usar el servicio y lo he usado de manera efectiva. Pero, y no he tenido problemas después, cuando he regresado a Cuba, que no he tenido el servicio de Google Maps, sigo preguntándole a las personas cuando no sé encontrar una dirección. O sea, simplemente tenemos una idea errónea de que estamos involucionando. No creo que si ahora mañana, pero si mañana hay un pulso electromagnético gigantesco y se cae todo internet y se caen todos los equipos, seguiremos estando aquí y vamos a seguir haciendo posiblemente lo mismo, porque ya yo te conozco a ti, conozco a Cristina, cartas escritas, mantendremos la comunicación y mantendremos el vínculo. Creo que la tecnología existe para hacernos la vida mejor y muchas personas tienen una mala relación con eso, pero no creo que eso afecte a la humanidad, o al menos nos esforzaremos para que no afecte al resto de la humanidad. ¿Me vieron bien pese al puse la cámara?
Okay. I get some of it. So thank you, Erick. Okay. Now we move to another subject, another important subject related to science fiction, which is the fact that and even here, we are talking about an Italian book in English language by Spanish authors. So I am in a difficult position to, try to convey all these messages in a language that is not my own and not even the language of the authors. But this calls for a question: how difficult it is for someone that writes in Spanish to submit a story to other markets. I don't mean just English market, but in general to other markets. And have you been published in other languages? Yes, apart from these. I mean, in general, talk about your experience with translation in other languages. Chris, we go back again to you.
Well, my relationship with English is kind of funny because I write directly into English sometimes. Lately, because of I have so much work, I haven't been able to write in English so much. I'm very bad translating myself. I prefer others to translate. So what I've learned is that if I want to submit something into English and I don't have time to write it directly into English, or I just wanted to take advantage of one of my stories and I wanted to convey that story into English, I try to find a very good translator who does that. But of course, you have to, as you know, pay for it. And so it's not easy sometimes in terms of finding the person that can do it in the time that you need, or you have the funds to do it. This is a disadvantage in relations with other authors that are published. For example, the authors that write in English that are much easier translated into other languages, that us coming from outside of the English circuit being translated into English. But there's also this idea that if you don't make it in the English market, you don't make it big. And I think this is something we have all to rethink a bit. And I think we are trying to do it, each of us here in our own ways, because there are much more countries in the world. There's much more other cultures. I find that the exchange with other cultures, it's much more enriching, because I already know the authors from the English circuit. I have been reading them for many years. And what it interests me is what other points of view from other cultures, what's happening in Asia, what's happening in Africa, what's happening in Latin America, all those in other parts of Europe, like Northern Europe or in Eastern Europe. That's where personally interests me. And I want to be able to work more towards any kind of initiatives or projects that can help to exchange contact between countries, not going necessarily through English. So to your question, I've been translating to English, into French, and soon Italian, and soon in Romanian, as far as I know.
Good, excellent. And you are the promoter of the year. So you are doing an excellent job in connecting the dots. Thank you, Cristina. Gabriela, you have experienced a very large number of translations lately, right? So what's your experience?
I've been very lucky because the Tiptree Award, the Otherwise Award, has opened many doors for me. In that sense, what Cristina was saying, it's true in a way. You have like some kind of visibility, and therefore some kind of opportunities to enter to another countries, another kind of readers, and maybe you can even find your readers outside your own country, which is sad, but it's very good at the same time. So in my experience, this translation to English allowed the translation to Italian, to French, to Portuguese, and to other language soon, I hope. So I think, yeah, it's true in a way that if you can get that kind of visibility in English, you have a number of opportunities that maybe wouldn't come to you at the same pace. Not that they won't come to you never, but maybe not so fast. But I think that it's very important, and I want to address something Erick said that I think it's very important and very interesting. Is we have to be careful with giving our souls and bodies to the demands of, for example, great corporations and the demands of technology that we maybe perceive as good, but maybe they are good for some things like this talk we are having, thanks to technology, to all the way to the moon, to La Habana, to the moon in La Habana, for example, and Dubai, and Mexico, and Italy, and Chile. But also our the demands of the market and the technology can diminish our way of seeing ourselves and think that that is the best we can get, and it's outside our context. And for example, all the likes and all the retweets and all the shares in Facebook, that it is proven that they get you a shot of drugs in your brain and make you dependent on that kind of sensations. And literature and discussions and growth and art happen in other spaces. yeah, the networks we are making through here are very important and allows us to make our work travel and reach more people, but also getting together in our own communities now that, for example, here in Mexico, we are fighting COVID, and I got vaccinated yesterday, so I'm very happy. And I'm looking at the future with hope. But yeah, making local progress in our own languages, make our communities stronger so we can make stronger alliances with another communities in other places. So mixing a little bit of both advantages. So we have to not looking down to our own communities, in our own languages, in our own regions, and our own geographical landscapes, and in our own even languages within our countries, because, for example, Mexico is a plurilingual nation. We don't only speak Spanish, but it's the main language, the official language, and that is going to make worth our connections, not only for the likes and the shares and the retweets, but for building friendships, building another ways of writing, building conversations that catapults us to the future in more significant ways, not only for personal fame, because I think that's the trap, capitalist trap, and the opposite of that is using the technology to get us reunited, but with a strong sense of community and the value of our own perspectives and our own, as Cristina was saying, our own visions of the world. Erick was addressing a very important thing also, that we have, for example, in Latin America, we have a very different way to cope with technology, to transform it, to use it. Inside our apparent disadvantages, economical and political disadvantage, we have a lot of survival strategies that have made us very, very, very smart and very adaptable and very and other ways of being human that the world can learn from us. So I think that's important to notice that we are valuable in our own contexts, and if we can build up that bridge through technology within our communities and with friends in Italy, Dubai, Cuba, and Chile, that is the best.
So I have to say something. I noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong, that your makeup is a Z for Zorro. Is the way you are resistant against capitalism? Am I wrong?
No, because Zorro is Spanish. So
okay.
Yeah, but I think makeup is a way to resist. Yes.
But I like your makeup. It's very nice. Okay, Erick, what about getting out of the moon? Will you be translated into any Earth languages? Turn on the mic, please. You're muted. You should maybe turn off the video and turn on the mic. Okay.
Are you listening?
Yeah.
Are you listening to me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me, are you listening to me? Are you listening to me, okay?
Yes.
Sí, bye.
Okay. Okay, well, the translation process is difficult for many reasons. I talk about two of them. If you don't handle the language correctly, you cannot supervise the translation process. So you are not sure if the reader really are reading what you wanted to say. That's a big problem. And the other problem is each publishing market has its own rules, and we know them, and I don't know always know them. Those rules. So let's a supposition. I send a manuscript to a publisher or a magazine, and they rejected the manuscript. So is because it's a bad story? Is because bad or in Havana?
We don't hear you.
And then we have no idea about who was the rules of the problem. I don't know if it's a bad writer, a bad story, or because it's a story of a Cuban writer to not attack or defend Fidel Castro, by example. And it's a problem not for the translation, it's a problem for the market. Spanish market of the books have his own rules, and these rules are different than the English, than the Anglo-Saxon market in science fiction, and it's and both of them as different. The principal problem to the translator is not the later. It's not the translator. Is the unknown to the roof of the market.
We don't hear you very well.
¿No me oyen bien?
Yeah, bad connection.
No sé en qué momento dejaron de oírme.
Sorry, Erick. If you finished, I would move on.
No problema. Es la luna.
I'm sorry. Okay. I wanted to take this last question about something that I've been thinking about because of the last 2 or 3 years of publications and translations that I've done, just from not just from Spanish language, but also from Portuguese. So experiencing the rise of Latin America altogether, and Central America also, of course. I kind of, even though of course the Spanish language is a colonizing language, we all know that, but I think that the speaking English, the Spanish speaking countries at this moment have an opportunity to create an international science fiction award. Now here I'm calling to all the South American and Latin American countries, because there is such immense diversity as it emerged from this panel, and it could become really an alternative to the English and the American science fiction awards. And when I talked about this with Cristina, she mentioned the fact that this could be a kind of wandering award, going from one country to the other, hosted by every year by a different country. So that, for example, the communities of Mexico, Peru, Argentina, Spain, Chile, Cuba, Colombia, and others should really start talking to each other and make it happen. What do you think? Isn't it about time that we use this network also to create horizontal relationship, as Gabriela said, you know, the friendship, the kind of community based relationship and neighboring relationship between countries, instead of always aiming at balance with the English speaking countries. I don't know, Gabby, you want to go again?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And I think when I was talking about giving value to our own experiences and validate our own literature and our own contexts and our own ways of coping with reality and technology and philosophy and everything, I think this kind of initiatives could be like a great way to make it, because, for example, in Mexicana, we developed 2 prizes. But I remember a very interesting Ileana Vargas said that was, well, we were the rebels. Mm-hmm. And now we are going to be the people who give prizes. What are we going to, how are we going to do that? And all the 4 Mexicanas were thinking a lot about this, because there's a lot of hierarchies and a lot of systems of validation within the concept of a prize, but also there's a sense of recognition and celebration in the same way. So I think we have to make it, since you talk about that idea, I think I'm more convinced that we should do it, but also to not replicate the models that we learned when we went to science fiction school, because I think we can make it really different. And for example, one of our prizes is a list, as in the Otherwise Award, which is, I think I learned winning it, that you allow the recognition part with the prize to one work a year, but you also honor through an honor list to a lot of other creators that maybe wouldn't have the visibility if they don't get that recommendation from a committee, a specialized and respected committee within the community. So we like that idea, and we also think that, for example, publication is a prize, or publication is an opportunity to recognize and celebrate the work of one person without telling the others that they don't deserve it. It's only that was convenient for publication that year. So I think that's from our part. That was our own reflection about that, about hierarchies and about recognition and celebration. And I think we also in Spanish-speaking countries have to do that homework, like reflecting what does the prizes means to us, and how can we build another kind of system that allows to keep producing more work and keep producing more enthusiasm to our own community, without saying you are the best and all of you are not. I think that's even in the Hugo Award spirit, for example, that you have, for example, the losers party. It's not like the Oscars or the other literary, very stiff and serious and hierarchical prizes, but you have that celebration spirit. So instead of copying everything we can get inspiration, and we can get new ways of celebrating our own works. And I think that's the best idea of the year. Let's make it.
All right. Let's see. I want to go first to Erick and see how is the situation in Cuba. I mean, would you how would you like to have a pan-Spanish award? What are your feelings?
Okay. ¿Me escuchas bien? ¿Me escuchas bien ahora? Bien. Okay.
You can do it in Spanish. You can do it in Spanish, okay? Feel free.
Mira, me parece una idea excelente esto, porque como tú decías al comienzo de la pregunta, el idioma español es un idioma colonizador, es un idioma colonizador para América, para España es simplemente su lengua materna, pero en América fue un idioma impuesto, es un idioma que incluso en muchas partes de América coexiste con otros idiomas nativos. Incluso en Cuba coexiste con idiomas que no son nativos, que también llegaron como idiomas africanos, o incluso una variante del chino que se llama el chino de La Habana. Y entonces es realmente un lenguaje colonizador, pero ya va siendo hora de que usemos esto que nos une, porque al final lo que tenemos es y que además nos regimos por las mismas reglas. Hay una colonizadora Real Academia de la Lengua Española que nos engloba a todos nosotros, que nos dice y eso tiene que tener algo bueno. No puede ser una colonización. Ya va siendo hora que el idioma que en el pasado sirvió para doblegarnos y para colonizarnos, ahora nos sirva como elemento de unión, como elemento algo mejor, y también para crear un frente único hay que tener un poco de orgullo del español. No estoy se habla mucho de la ñ, que es la letra única que tenemos. Por eso la ñ es todo el resto del alfabeto y además nuestra riqueza. Estamos hablando de que hay una diferencia radical sin salirse del mismo idioma, el español que se habla en España al español que se habla en Chile, pasando por todo el medio. Y entonces esto es un valor, esto es importante. Y que la comunidad de ciencia ficción, un subgénero que siempre se le achaca a los anglosajones o a los franceses como ser líderes, como haberlo creado, como ser para este género, a veces como que a los hispanohablantes, es decir, a los latinoamericanos, se dice despectivamente en términos de ciencia ficción. Ustedes ni siquiera han tenido un programa espacial. Bueno, en el caso de Europa tuvimos un pero fuera de eso, nosotros también nos relacionamos con la tecnología, todos nosotros, y la visión que se tiene en otros mercados fuera del español, fundamentalmente el anglosajón, es una visión sesgada, es una visión de nosotros lo único que podemos hacer es repetir lo que hacen los autores en inglés. Y bueno, podemos llenar una biblioteca con ejemplos a eso, con ejemplos en español a lo largo de todo el año. Sin embargo, las cosas no son públicas, no. En muchos círculos, incluso en español, se considera que escribir ciencia ficción en español es una locura. Y entonces, tenemos que unir las comunidades que ya están marginadas, ya son y contra el resto de los medios en nuestros países que tienen haber una comunicación. Y por eso esta que presenta es excelente. A mí me entusiasma mucho y me alegra poder haber dicho este comentario en español. O sea, hay un pequeño orgullo hispano. ¿Me escucharon todo lo que dije?
Todo. Todo así, pero todo.
Sí, sí.
Yes, thank you. I get your enthusiasm, I get your pride. So that's important, because I think that's the most important message. Every community has the dignity to write in their language, to write about their culture, to transmit a vision about their own future from their own corner of the world. That's the important message, I think, because from this diversity emerges the pattern of a multicultural and united, even though we are separated in many ways, social distancing, hierarchies, languages, but this feeling of looking at the future together, aiming, it's something that I think is the most powerful force that we have to embrace. I don't know if there are questions from the audience. We are around 10 minutes after the hour. So do you have any final remarks or things you want to say? Yeah, Chris?
I just wanted to say something about the word.
Wait, I missed your answer, right?
It's okay. It's okay.
No, it's okay. Sorry.
I just wanted to say something as the colonizer here. Because I think it's important that somebody from Spain says this, that I love what my colleague said about, especially Erick, about because I always feel very guilty about this Spanish issue with my brothers and sisters from Latin America. For me, the past few years, I've learned to deconstruct my own bias about Spanish and accept and embrace the beautiful varieties of Spanish from all over the world. And I think it's very, very important that if we have an award, a science fiction award, we will make it, it would be great if every country can host it every year, a different country, because it should never be about what make us oppressor and oppressed in the past. I think it should we should try to move on in the sense of let's try to get together into promoting science fiction, which is something that can unite everybody, and loving the differences in the language. And I think that's why I always said, let's not make it something that is in Spain, or at least not in the beginning. It would be best not to be hosted in Spain. Because we have to learn so much from our brothers and sisters from Latin America, that I think that it's something that it's best if they can start hosting, and we can come along and help them, because new dynamics have to arise, and we have to collaborate and move on from the horrible things that happened in the past. And I just wanted to say that.
Well, yeah, thank you. I mean, you had the idea of the Wandering Award. You know how much I love this word, to wander, with A and not with O, in the sense of, I just wrote an essay called The Sense of Wonder, il senso del vagamondare.
Exactly.
Because it's like wandering around the earth, looking for new futures, or neglected futures, or futures that have just been never been uncovered. Maybe, one edition could be something like we're doing now, hosted in Chile, with an Italian, host, and with people from Mexico, Cuba, and Spain. Maybe this no place of the virtual reality where we are all living in since 1 year and a half could be our
Well,
freedom.
Spanish is a place. Spanish, the concept of Spanish is a place that we can all share. This is something that we can make it our virtual, with our virtual space for everybody.
Yes, maybe the virtual reality is our future. I mean, it is already our present.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know. Yeah, now again, I apologize for missing Chris' answer. But if there are any other last remarks, I would really thank you all for watching. Well, yeah, no, there is no relation to this book, Schegge del Futuro, which I guess is more related to Latin America, where we have a selection of stories here from Spain and Latin America. So we have, for example, a translation from Catalan, from Barcelona, and then we have translation from Spanish language. So yes, but anyway, that book dates back to 2007. We are like 13 years into the future from that. But yes, maybe it's not the first, but it's surely, I hope, it not last. That's something I really would like to say. Yes, I'm in the process of translating more stories from Latin America, because there is I think really a very interesting scene from. I've had contact with Colombia. I had contact with Peru, and so the whole Argentina, of course, Chile. So the whole continent is rising, and not to mention, of course, Brazil. I think it's about time. I mean, I'm here to help, but it's about time you get together and try to make things work, creating another network. It doesn't have to be competition with nothing else. It just have to give an opportunity of people to let them know that there is other authors, that there are other books, that there are other stories to be told. That's important, I think. So I leave you. If you want to give any final remarks, just let me know, okay? Erick, you want to add something in Spanish?
A ver, bueno, no queda mucho más que agregar, más allá de agradecer y de agradecerte sobre todo en términos de descolonizar porque el mundo se centra muchas veces en el mundo anglófono, en el mundo en inglés, y en determinado tipo de ciencia ficción ficcional o determinado tipo de cliché. Y yo, bueno, desde que te conozco, no solo de tu obra, sino todo tu trabajo, se centra en salir de ese eje, en salirte del eje anglocéntrico, en salirte del eje de la ciencia ficción tradicional que copia la ciencia ficción norteamericana de una época, que fue una vez de una época, y realmente tu visión es agradecértelo, y creo que no soy el nombre, creo que en nombre de todas las personas que formamos parte de la antología pensamos que el italiano es muy novedosa como lo es la ciencia ficción misma. Entonces, bueno, como diría un cliché, no alcanzan palabras para agradecértelo, Francesco. Que es un cliché en español.
Okay, I didn't get all of it, but thank you very much. Chris, Gabi, you want to say something?
You first, Chris.
Well, I just wanted to thank everybody for coming to this event, to my colleagues. I adore them. I love Erick and Gabi. Well, they know, but I just wanted to say it. And also Francesco, some of you have become friends over the years. And I wanted to thank the Chilean Association for hosting also this event. And I hope that we can do more in the future between maybe associations of different countries or cultural groups, so we can help each other to bring more stories to life to other, to reach as many readers as possible. Thank you so much for having me.
Yep.
Yeah, I was about to tell more or less the same that Cristina said. I'm very grateful for this space. I'm very, very grateful for having met you all, Cristina and Erick and Francesco, and all your efforts to make a community. And I don't think maybe we have a whole understanding of how much growth have come from all this time that we encounter with this pandemic, and the great deal of thinking we have made together, and all the new ideas that burst in ourselves, parting of the fact that we met each other, and I think that has been one of the best things of this horrible situation. But yeah, also for that, thank you. And I think this is a good place to make this grow and make this like another way of transitioning into the post-pandemic world, which is not happening soon. But we made a good deal of basis of friendship and thinking that it's going to make us stronger to build a better world, I think. So thank you very much to all, and a very big hug to you.
Thank you. And a better world starts with reading better stories, good stories. So, ai miei amici italiani, se volete scoprire un po' di fantascienza latinoamericana, Cuerpos. Ciao a tutti. Bye bye. Take care.
Ciao. Adios.
Next one.